Women are interrupted 3 times more than men in conversations. 70% of women say they hold back their truth to avoid being seen as too emotional. And over half say they've been punished at work or in family dynamics just for being direct. For years, I watered myself down to keep the peace, but no, I'm not doing it anymore. Hi, I'm Tina, and I guide women to deepen their spiritual connection through simple rituals, gratitude practices, and elemental wisdom, helping them weave sacred spirituality into everyday life with ease and meaning. So when we talk about women being silenced or, silencing ourselves, this isn't just in the speaking. It's about the shrinking and disappearing from our own life. I want to share what the real cost of that silence is and how I'm learning to break it. Silence runs deep, it's generational. We have learned from culture that we are to be nice, that we don't make things awkward, that we don't, we have to be a certain way. We can't be too loud. We can't be too boisterous. We can't be too sexy. We can't be too anything. And that, the cultural expectation is that we are to be quiet, nice, keep the peace, right? Religious dogma also teaches us that we are not to question, we are to submit and obey what the religion teaches us, right? Families are families many times to survive in the family, right? We don't talk about what hurts and we keep the peace. And a lot of us carry that energy of those women who were silenced to stay safe. So, we had the witch wound that came up. So we, had so many women, generations of women who were killed because they spoke or because they were doing things that people saw as not what the norm should have been, right? And at that time, they were silencing people, and the women would keep quiet, or even the men would keep quiet because they didn't want their family to be punished. And so we have that energy with us, and we all of those things that come in on us and hold us down and keep us from speaking that truth. For me, I remember as a child being told, or we weren't being told, but it was the rule that kids were to be seen and not heard. So if we were in any room, we were to be silent. We could not speak up. We could not ask questions. I learned through, my parents and all the things that when I expressed my feelings, it made others uncomfortable, and I stopped. As a kid, I, you know, would speak up. I was always one that spoke their mind, right? And I would speak up and would get shut down or get told that basically that it didn't matter. And I learned that what I said didn't matter. So I quit speaking that. I learned to be quiet. I learned to be that peacemaker. I learned to take care of everybody else instead of myself. So a lot of the signs that we see when we are being silenced or silencing ourselves is, that we have something to say, but we don't know how to say it. And I find this all the time with myself. I see this in me a lot, is that I can't articulate the feelings. I can't articulate what I want to say. And like even doing these videos, it's hard for me to come up with what to say, right? Because I know what I want to say, but I don't know how to articulate it. And that just holds, it's just that throat chakra, I guess, just kind of holding on and doesn't want to totally speak it. A lot of times we are overthinking, or we are questioning ourselves. We don't have that connection to our intuition, so we question anything that comes up, where we always are second guessing those things. It's just like, for me, it's like, overthinking that Instagram caption over, and I see that a lot. And another thing that I have done, I create rituals, I do ceremonies and for, I've seen myself dumbing down my rituals so that people don't feel like, so they're more palatable, so that people aren't put off by them, right? I've seen myself not raise my prices because I'm don't want to upset anyone. I've seen myself hiding my grief and my anger and my truth just to keep things peaceful in relationships, in my family. I watched in my life, I was in an abusive relationship and I stayed quiet because, maybe I deserved it, being physically and mentally abused, and stayed quiet. Learned to that my voice wasn't strong enough, right? Didn't matter. I learned in family as I watched the family take the side of the perpetrator instead of the side of the victims, and saw how the victim was silenced, and that was in family. I've watched, and I was silenced. I watched how I've been in situations in, relationships where I was scared to be alone. So I stayed and kept silent. Did what I wanted, or didn't tell the person I'm in a relationship what I wanted because I was scared. What if they left me? I didn't want to be alone. I've been in situations where I've been scared to speak up, in the family, when I've had family telling me that I should be doing this or should be doing that. And I ended up living a life of other people's, they're telling me what I should do, and I ended up living that life. And, I'm 61 years old now and doing things a lot differently, but I'm still learning to speak. I'm still learning to bring out that truth and to speak that truth and to not silence myself. And it's hard and it's scary. And we have, especially in social media and in our digital age now, we have the trolls, we have the people who see what we're doing and or speaking, and it makes them uncomfortable, so they're going to speak out about it. And I'm learning to allow that and to allow myself to speak my truth. I know it has taken me a while. This hasn't been something that, just came on. It's something that has been burning for a while. It's has been this little ember that's been kind of, burning, and there's that little spark, and it's kind of starting to take off. And it's like I finally decided that I am done. I'm done with, watering myself down. I'm done with not speaking my truth. I'm done with doing the rituals that are not deep and meaningful. I'm done with surface level. I'm done with relationships that are not for my highest good. And, it's like it can cost relationships, it can cost friendships, it can cost a lot, but it can also give a lot. And I find that the more that I speak my truth and the more that I am authentic to myself, the stronger I become and the stronger my voice becomes. And I know it's like this weight off of my shoulders. It's like this weight that I am not carrying anymore. So, some of the practices that I have implemented in doing this is, journaling, I'm sorry, and maybe finding a prompt that says something like, where am I still staying quiet to be accepted? Or where am I holding on to my truth? Or am I still silencing myself? Or whose story am I still living? So there's, some different prompts that you can use for journaling in that way. And I just do, sometimes nowadays it's more of just asking myself, what am I not speaking? And then also taking some time for me, I like to drum. I make drums, and taking time to drum and just helping to release that energy and those emotions that come up has been really good at helping me with those processes. Also, going outside, going for walks. I love to walk and just speaking those things out loud. Another journaling prompt that that could be is like, where am I, what I wish I had said, and just writing all those things down. And then it, if you don't want somebody to see it, you could burn the paper. I also love art journaling, and my mom and I had a complicated relationship, and I didn't speak with her for the last probably 10 years of her life, and maybe more, I don't know. But I wrote a letter to her. I would write a letter to her. I would write down things that I wish I had said, or I would write down different things that were going on with me, and then I would paint, and that was in the art journal. I would paint over that, and then I would make a picture. And so nobody saw it. I don't even remember what I wrote. Nobody saw it, and I end up with this picture in my book, and I still have it, and I can look at it, and I know that it was something to do with my mom. That's about all I know now. But it's very healing when we can do things like that and voicing it. I found that recently I've been really speaking my truth on social media a lot more than I have done in the past. I've always been pretty good at being authentic and being myself, but not at a deeper level. It's always been surface level, and I've brought it a little bit deeper recently. And I found that when I read the social media posts out loud, it brings tears to my eyes. But it is like speaking it is just like speaking the stories that we have. Speaking those out loud helps to kind of diminish it. It's like the shame. Like, I know Brene Brown talks a lot about shame, and how when we speak shame, that dissipates the effect it has on us. So it starts to we start to let go of it when we can speak it. But we want to speak it in a safe place with somebody who is safe, we know will not take it and hurt us with it, right? So we always want to be careful who we speak to when we are speaking these truths, or when we are allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and be open and releasing that shame. So, always be careful of who you speak to if you do decide to speak that. When we do this and we start to reclaim our voice, we start to reconnect to ourselves, and we start to reconnect to that intuition, and we start to feeling those things. We're starting to understand ourselves more and know better what we want, what our truth is. And so what we do is we break cycles too. As we reclaim our voice, we're also breaking those cycles. We're breaking the ancestral patterns that have come down. They've been handed down to us, and we have willingly accepted a lot of them. And we don't need to. We can break those patterns. We can break those chains that hold us. And so as we start to reclaim our voice, we start to break those. We become that guide that our younger self needed, and start to connect to that inner wisdom. And so it's not about being loud, and it's not about being pretty. It's about being honest and allowing it to be yours. So just, let me know in the comments, where have you stayed quiet too long? And let me know if any of this resonated with you. If you're in the season of reclaiming your voice, I have a program called Ignite Your Sacred Wisdom. The circle's full right now, but it will be open again, and you can join the wait list, and I'll put a link in the description for that. So thank you for listening, and let me know in the comments if this resonated with you, and if it's something that you feel like somebody else might need to hear. I'd appreciate it if you shared it. And thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon. Big love to you.